What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, and this is your breaking news show. And we have had some breaking news. It's not one of them shows we say it's breaking news and it's, someone's clipped the toenail in training and something like that. It's actual breaking news, and it's regarding our Brazilian winger, Antony, who has been out for a couple of weeks dealing with certain things off the pitch, which we're going to get into. But let me just dive into it, Shreyas, and then we'll give our opinions on it. So I've got a couple of quotes and things like that coming from the club on this situation. So Antony will return to Manchester United training and will be available for selection despite domestic abuse allegations, with the Brazilian winger facing 5 hours of police questioning last night. We know that Antony was on fully paid leave earlier this month, so we could focus on trying to clear his name in this situation, denying accusations by 3 women that he had attacked them. He recently returned to the UK on Tuesday night after confirming with the police in Sao Paulo that he was permitted to leave Brazil, and then voluntarily met with the Greater Manchester Police on Thursday to try not crack this case, but try just get this case done, basically, and out of the way. It's understood that he was not arrested or detained at the end of the interview and was allowed to go home without any restrictions. United believe Antony has provided enough evidence to support his strong denials of the allegations made against him, and have now cleared the 23-year-old to return to first team duties. However, he won't be in contention for the Palace game, but the games after, he should be in contention. United said in a statement, which we've done a lot of recently, where we seem to have more statements and actual goals in the leagues at this point. But they said that the Antony situation will be kept under review pending further developments in the case. Since allegations were first made in June, Antony has cooperated with police inquiries in both Brazil and the UK, and he continues to resume training at Carrington and be available for selection while police inquiries proceed. This will be kept under review pending further development. As a club, we can... Oh, fuck's sake. One sec, with things coming up. Perfect. Every time, man. Every single time. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. As a club, we condemn acts of violence and abuse. We recognise the importance of safeguarding all those involved in this situation and acknowledge the impact these allegations have on survivors of abuse. So that's everything we need to know up to date on this right now, Shreyas. What are your thoughts and feelings on this one as soon as you saw it?
I think, at the end of last month, we, were leaning into the direction that Antony would be back. When he would be back was a question that could not be answered. But we knew that, maybe by the time the next international break rolls in, he comes back into the team, gets up to training, and probably reintegrates with the team. But personally, I was seeing him as he would come back early after the kind of evidence and the kind of things that were coming out on numerous outlets. It was leaning into the direction that Antony would be coming back into the squad. And I think now that United have also come out and released their statement about this in quite a direct manner as well, not really beating around the bush or just going around in circles about a certain statement. They've been pretty direct with this one, and I think it just shows that at least from the club's perspective, they are good with having Antony in this team. And when he comes back, I think people should still, they need to understand that he's still a Manchester United player. There hasn't been anything concrete about this or anything cemented in stone about what has happened or what has not happened. The investigations are still ongoing, but for the time being, he's still in the right direction, Antony. And so that I think we should just give the player that support when he comes back in, because he is an important player for, Erik ten Hag. When he puts, barring every single thing and barring injuries, I think if every single player comes into this lineup, I still see Antony as the player who will be featuring for us on the right-hand side. So I think the sooner he comes back, the better, because I think Ten Hag does incorporate him a lot into his plans. And he is a player who still, he can be, very, very frustrating at times on the pitch. But when he's not there, we've seen the kind of hole that can be present. If it's good that our youngsters have stepped up in his absence, but if not for him, the kind of work rate that he brings to the table, it just does not, it does not match at times. So I think having Antony back, I think right now is a big boost considering the kind of players that we've got out. And in a way, you can say he's senior to the likes of Ahmad or to the likes of Pelistri. So it's good having that sort of a player in.
Yeah, they say don't have your favourites, don't they? But we all know Erik ten Hag, Antony's one of his favourites, signed for a very high fee. So, of course, he'll be happy to hear that he's coming back into the squad. Brian Casey's in the chat saying, "Morning, lads. Good morning to you, Brian. Hope you're okay. Only just morning by the time I said that." Vincent Bullock, hi guys. Hello to Vincent. Some atties in the chat saying, "What Shreyas doing?" I don't know what that means, but okay. Shah Sam says, "We all know he'll be back to the starting 11." Oh, of course. Yeah, of course he will.
Yeah.
United Tactical Talk says, "Everyone, good morning. Everyone seems to be in a bright mood today. As soon as the game after Palace, yeah, he'll be back in the squad in contention immediately, in my personal opinion." Do you think this is risky though, Shreyas? Like, considering the case isn't closed, they're still actively looking at it. Do you think United have maybe seen, obviously we can only speculate, but do you think United have seen the evidence, or is providing that they're quite happy with it?
I think the kind of position that United have been under during the the entirety of the Mason Greenwood investigation as well. I think if they made such a strong decision, or they can such a step, they would have considered all the possibilities of what might happen or what might not happen. And if United have taken such a bold step of actually reintegrating him back into the team, actually coming out and saying that he'll be back as soon as possible, and will be training with the first team and will be in contention. So I think on a personal basis, from the direction of the player and the whole investigation as well, I think they've seen all the outcomes, they've seen all the consequences, and think they genuinely do believe that this is the right step for them. I think the kind of position that United are in, with all the things that are going around, they can't afford to actually make rash decisions right now. There are still ongoing frustrations with the takeover. Mason Greenwood going to Getafe. There are numerous things that are still going on around the club with Jadon Sancho. So the club are not actually in a position to make another wrong step. So if they've taken this step, I think they would have worked out all the possibilities.
Well, just on Mason Greenwood, because I've mentioned him there, do you think because of that situation, obviously that the way they dealt with it was absolutely horrendous, do you think because of that situation they've dealt with this slightly better? You saw Antony kind of take himself out of the squad, so that the limelight wasn't on the squad as well, or impacting him in that sense. So do you think they've dealt with this situation much better?
I think they have done dealt with this. If you have to compare it to Mason Greenwood, they've dealt with it in a much better, much
that was
better,
an absolute
not even comparable.
shit show, wasn't it?
Yeah. So maybe it was a learning lesson for them. But once again, the thing is, with these sort of investigations, the most that the club can do is just take precautionary measures from their own end until you get a clear cut decision or judgment being made about the investigation. So I think, at least for with the case regarding Antony, they've acted well. And yes, coming out with such a bold statement shows that they support, that the club actually as a whole supports the player. Because I heard that in the case that was being followed, if Antony was to be sued, then it would involve certain doctors who are in the Manchester United camp as well. So for them to take such a decision, it just shows us it is a strong step, and it works in the direction of the player as well.
Well, this is kind of good news and bad news for you, isn't it? Because obviously you're a huge fan of Facundo Pellistri. He's started getting opportunities now, which he may had not have got if that right wing spot wasn't open as much. I'm not saying he won't get more opportunities, but in terms of Antony's absence from the pitch, do you think he's been missed as much with Pellistri putting in these performances?
Personally, I don't think so. You can argue that Antony's presence can be known on the pitch, because he's on the ball a lot. He runs and covers a lot of ground on that right hand side. But if you have to measure it on the form of on the basis of effectiveness, I would say that when a player is on the pitch and what he's doing, I think Pellistri has been better. With the way that he has been able to take defenders on, the way his technical ability on the ball, and the kind of ball recoveries he actually makes on that right hand flank as well. He brings a lot to the table at such a young age. And I think even if Antony comes back, Pellistri should be given a fighting chance. That because he has shown up. He's shown up against Bayern. He's shown up against Palace, and all the other cameos in which that he has been brought on. He has been performing well. So I think there should be competition for places, especially on that right hand side. Because if a youngster is performing that well, it should push Antony more to actually be performing a lot better. Because there is a lot of talent in Antony as well. I think that if Antony is able to be refined a little bit more, his decision making becomes a little better, then he can be a very, very good player on that right hand side for us, because he gets in those attacking positions on a lot of occasions. So overall, I would still say that I think there can be a competition between Pellistri and Antony on that right hand side.
Well, you look at Jadon Sancho now, for example, that small window of opportunity he had to showcase that he can
Yeah.
be that consistent figure there has obviously gone now, because when he's back after the Palace game effectively, a couple of training sessions, he's going to be starting there, and then probably Palistra will be second choice behind him. I think Palistra's come in and done fantastic. I don't think he's done necessarily any worse than Antony. I think they both have they are different players, but I feel like the both the final third decision making at times can be a little bit questionable. I think they both work extremely hard. Obviously, Antony likes to cut in on his left a lot more. Palistra can go past his man and put crosses into the box, which is a nice difference. But I think it's okay because they're at a competitive level where he could actually push for that spot. So I'm not as worried as I would be if it was Sancho coming back, because he's flaky at the best of times. Do you think the time away will affect him at all? I can't remember his last game. Do you remember his last game that he played for us?
I think Forest.
Trying to think.
Forest was the last game that he played for us. Because after Forest...
Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think that's after Forest... No. It was Arsenal was the last game.
Oh, yeah.
Arsenal was the last game.
Against Nottingham Forest, he was actually okay.
He was good.
And I think against Arsenal, he was all right as well. So
against Arsenal, moving forward, he was not good. But I think on the defensive side of things, the way he was able to, complement on that right hand side, he was actually amazing on the defensive side of things. But
agreed.
Yes, it has been a while that he's been out. It will take him time to actually get up to speed. But I think for the kind of player that Ten Hag actually sees him to be, and the kind of impact that Ten Hag wants this player to have, I think at max it will take him 1 or 2 weeks to be back onto the bench at least.
Yeah, because he brings that intensity, doesn't he, when he's on the pitch? He has that kind of a natural aggression on the pitch. Press is high. He's very interactive, let's say, as a character when he's on that pitch. So when you reflect on his time here so far, obviously he's been here just over a year now. How would you reflect on it? Because it's obviously a big price tag in it. We paid £85 million for him. People get frustrated. I mean, I speak to my mates speaking to him about it in the WhatsApp before, and I told him, I said, Antony's on his way back, and he said, don't give a shit, don't rate him, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. I was like, all right, fair enough, each to their own. How does everyone feel about him coming back into this? And how would you reflect on his time so far?
I think his time has been average. I wouldn't say that he's been bad. I wouldn't say that he's been absolutely amazing. But I think I will say that he's been average. You cannot say that he's been bad, because if you actually go into his stats, last season, if Antony took all his chances, he could have scored 10 or 12 goals more than what he actually scored.
That's the word, isn't it?
That's if. And the thing is, it was his first season last year, coming from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. On the other hand, we were being overplayed on a lot of occasions, and I think he got 2 or 3 injuries during the course of last season as well, because of which he had to miss certain fixtures. And on the other hand, I remember when he came on against Fulham in I think it was the FA Cup game or the Carabao Cup game, where we saw 3 red cards to Willian Mitrovic and their manager. He came on and he looked like by far one of the best players on the field. And then you could see, since he came on against Barcelona, week after week after week, his performance level, it just, got better and better and better. Eventually, once again, it hit the same way that, that frustration came again because of his decision making. But there was a good 4 to 5 week patch where you can say that Antony was arguably one of our better players moving forward, because even Rashford was not performing as well at times as, how Antony was able to express himself on the field. His one-footedness is, I think it is over-criticized, I would say. He's just a natural right winger who loves to cut in on his left. That's all there is to it. But the thing is, if he gets into the right area on that, in that box, and he's able to cut in on his left, 9 times out of 10 he scores. Even the one time that he didn't score, he hit the post this season, and I think it was against Tottenham. So I think he will come good. He has the manager who trusts in him. He has the manager who basically, got him to that level before at Ajax. And I think now that, he's got the likes of Casemiro, he's got the likes of Amrabat, and now that he's got someone like Højlund, I think the bigger question right now is, can Rashford and Antony combined form a good relationship with Højlund? Because Højlund is a type of striker who needs the ball at his feet. Will they be
That's
shooting?
A very good point.
Will they be shooting from obscure angles all the time, or will they be looking to actually find
service?
He needs
absolutely.
I think that is the reason why. Personally, I think Rashford and Antony shouldn't be played during the same game at the same time. Like if you're playing Rashford, you need to have someone like Pellistri. If you're playing Garnacho, then you can play with someone like Antony, because at least with Rashford and Pellistri, they cross the ball a lot more than Rashford and Antony.
Well, if you think about the perfect comparison, I don't mean in terms of necessarily style, but if you look at Jack Grealish, obviously he was getting pelters for Man City for a while. It cost £100 million, not his fault at all, but a huge price tag, like the biggest for a British player. And it took him almost 3 years to kind of settle in and climatise.
Yeah.
Last season he had his best season at the club. And he looks settled now. So sometimes people seem to forget. And that's the player, by the way, who's playing in the Premier League for Aston Villa and was one of their best players.
And even when he's come good for them, it hasn't actually translated into stats. So people who actually, go into stats that, he's got like just 6 or 7 goal contributions.
That's what I mean.
Grealish hasn't gotten like 30 goal contributions last season. Yeah. Players like Phil Foden who come off from the bench have gotten more goal contributions than him. But
the thing is as well, on the stats, it doesn't show the situation at Arsenal, for example, where he gets back and makes that final ditch tackle to support a team. That doesn't come up on stats, does it? Like, they don't show that kind of thing. So
there are certain players whose presence and the way they conduct themselves on the pitch is far more important than the kind of goal contributions they make. And right now Antony falls into that category. I think when he does come good, though, those numbers actually start going up, and especially that goal counter, because the biggest frustration about him is the kind of positions that he gets into, and then the kind of chances that he misses. Just like Antony missed.
Don't mind them goals. This isn't a green screen that's currently falling down. 1 second. Oh my god. Every time I move it, it just makes it worse. Why is it going, man? Right, 1 sec. Let me just... There we go. The set's falling down currently behind me. It's all a mystique. No, I think Antony in general, I think he's heavily criticised. We live in a generation now where everyone wants everything dead quick. And if it doesn't happen dead quick, then they're a flop or they're not good and this and whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's the Premier League compared to the Eredivisie. It's much different in terms of getting used to that tempo. You see, luckily with Lisandro Martinez, he settled in the first year and we got consistency out of him straight away. He was a 7 out of 10 in every single game. But Antony, wingers, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to adapt. And I've got faith in him just simply because of the fact that the manager's got huge trust in him. He obviously highly rates him because... I think he does a little bit of favouritism. You got to call it that, ain't you? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the price tag.
Player.
I don't know what it is.
Basically, it's his player.
Oh, yeah, it's his guy in it. So,
and you cannot call a manager out for that, I would say, because every manager has his player on the field. If you look at Klopp, if you look at Pep, if you look at Arteta at Arsenal as well, they have their players. Even if they're not performing that great, they are picked week in and week out because the manager wants that player on the pitch because he is one of their best players according to them. Might not be, that the case according to the fans, but for the manager, he is, a player who he regards in, at that level. So you cannot call a manager out for, actually picking a player week in and week out. Especially, he's not a player who's been, like absolutely crap. Like, their presence on the field makes us lose. He's not that sort of a player.
Yeah, he still offers something, even though maybe it might not be going forward off the ball. And tactically, I think that's the main point. He does offer something towards the game. If more and more of you joining, please do leave a like on the video for us. Of course, we only went live for the Antony thing. We've got the Ten Hag press conference. I believe it's today. We just had a notification saying Brian's been a member for 4 months. Just want to say, love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you, Brian. You are the heart and soul of this channel. I appreciate you, brother. And thank you for being a member for 4 months. If you want to become a member... I finished the video of me and Shreyas last night. It's been edited. It's done. The UCL Young Stars, 3 breakout stars, an attacker, a midfielder, and a defender to break out this season. And that will drop. I'll drop it tomorrow. I'll drop it tomorrow early so people can have a chance to look at that over the weekend. We also dropped a video this morning, pros and cons of the Crystal Palace game. Usually I do it the game after, but because I've had things going on medically off the channel, I've not been able to record or anything, so I did my best to try and get it out as quick as I could. So if you could give that a watch and let us know what you think of it, I really, really appreciate it. What else am I missing? I mentioned the 10 Hag press conference. I need to find out what time that is because sometimes they mess about with it, so I'm not sure what's happening with that. There should be a new show later on around 7 o'clock, so make sure you come and tune in. And now as well for games, we're going to do a pre-match talk like 45 minutes before the game starts. Leave you guys to watch the game, and then we'll always have the review after it as well. So that's how it's going to be done. Simply because now I can't sit down to do watch-alongs at the minute, because like I said, so I'm literally standing up at the minute. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a bit of a review. You can laugh if you want. It's all right.
This
we're going to
leaves
do
a
a bit
very
of a
vague impression to the people who are watching.
a very what?
Yeah, because the possibility for medical issues, when you say that you can't sit down, there are just a lot of possibilities that
Oh
people
yeah,
can
some
imagine.
people are sat there scratching their head and thinking, what have you been getting up to in your spare time? It's nothing to do with that. But yeah, basically, I can sit down, but I can't for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So basically, I have to stand up doing shows, which is actually, I don't mind it, because I can feel I can express and talk, and apart from the thing falling down behind me, it's usually okay and runs like clockwork.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, we had to go live for the Antony situation. Of course, it was breaking news that he is coming back into the squad. We've got loads of things coming up for you, more consistency with the channel, more content. So I apologise for being away. I've said it about a million times now, but yeah, I do apologise for it, because I know people appreciate the consistency. Thank you, Shreyas, for jumping on with me. Anything else you want to add on, mate, before we head off?
Just once again, stick around with the channel, because we have another live stream coming up as well, and maybe if something big breaks, another one at that. So yes, please make sure to stick around the channel, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure to smash that subscribe button.
Yes, please do hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video. Check us out on socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Whatever platform you're on, we are on. So type in Real Reds Talk, drop a follow for us. And yeah, you get all your recent news updates. You'll get clips from the show and loads of other stuff. So take care for now. Who knows, we might have some breaking news soon. It's the weekend, innit, after all. So apart from that, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you shortly for Eric Ten Hag's press conference. See you in a bit.